We are going to, in this video, learn to do multiplication of two-digit numbers. The prerequisites are that you know how to do one-digit multiplication in your head, and you know how to serially add numbers. By serially add numbers, I mean like if you have 30 plus 20 plus 17 plus 63, you can go 20 plus 30 is 50, plus 17 is 67, plus 63 is 70 plus 60, so another to 130. And so you can basically take the numbers and keep the total and add the new number on. And so that's what I mean by you can add numbers in your head serially. So if you can do that, and you can do multiplications like, 7 times 7 is 49, or 7 times 6 is 42 in your head, then we are ready to get started learning how to do two-digit multiplication in your head. So before we start, we're going to do a little exercise where we are going to take two-digit numbers and we're going to say them slowly and start to feel them and understand them as two separate numbers. What I mean by that is, let's say a 54. So instead of just saying 54, you're going to say 54. So you can imagine the 50 as a 50 and imagine the 4 as a 4. 54 is really the sum of 50 and 4. 63, 60 and 3. So I want you to imagine these two-digit numbers as two separate numbers, one in the tens place and one in the ones place, and they're being summed together. Now, when we say something like 17 or 18, it's really 8 and 10. So unlike everything above 20s, it's the tens place first and the units place after. With the teens, it's the units place first and the tens place after. If you're used to like Hindi or Bengali numbers, it's always the unit place first and then the tens place for all the two-digit numbers. But in English, we have first up to 19, we have the ones first and then the tens. And then 20 onwards, we have the tens and then the ones. So it's kind of a bit of a mix. You can also choose to think of 17 as teen 7. So you can think of like the tens and then the 7, or 16 as teen 6. So we have teen 1, teen 2, teen 3, teen 4, teen 5, teen 6, teen 7, teen 8, teen 9 for the 11 through 19, if you want to think of it that way. But now let's start to consider simple things like, let's say we have teen 7 or 17, so times 3. So 10 times 3 and 7 times 3. And we're going to add those two together. So that's 30 and 21, 51. Right? So 18 times 4. So 8 times 4 and 10 times 4 is 32 plus 40. So you get 72. So that's what you want to do for multiplying two-digit numbers with a one-digit number. You're just multiplying the tens place and the ones place individually and adding them up. Now, when you want to multiply two digits with the other two digits, you're basically going to have four numbers. So what do I mean? Let's say you have 18 times 51, right? So you have 8, 10, 50, and 1. Right? I'm going to say teen 8 to make it easier. So you have 10, 8, 50, and 1. So now when you want to multiply these four numbers, you're going to take all four combinations. You're going to take 10 and 50, that's 500. You're going to take 8 and 50, which is 400. So that's 900. Then you're going to take the... So we got 10 and 50, we got 8 and 50. What do we need? We need 10 and 50, 8 and 50. Okay, we need 10 and 1 and 8 and 1, right? So we have another 10. So we have 900, 10, and then another 8, so 918. So we just did 18 times 51 in our head, and that's 918. If you didn't catch it fully, let's say it again. So 18 times 51 is 10, 8, 50, and 1. 10 and 50 is 500. 8 and 50 is 400. 10 and 1 is another 10, so that makes it 910. And then 8 times 1 is 8, so that makes it 918. Let's do another example. Let's say 72 times 23. So 72, 23. So 70 and 20 is 1400. 2 and 20 is 40. 7 and 70 and 3 is 210. So 210 plus 40 is 250. And we had 1400, so 1650, and then finally 2 and 3 is 6, so 1656. So that's 72 times 23. So let's say we're going to do 13 times 84. So 13 times 84 is team 3, right? 10, 3, and 84. So 10 times 80 is 800. 3 times 80 is 240. So now we're at 1040. And then 10 times 4 is 40. So we're at 1080. And then 3 times 4 is 12. So we're at 1092. So that's how you would do 13 times 84. You're going to add up 800, and then 240, and then 40, and then 12. So you get to 1092. Let's do a simpler example. Let's do 35 times 15, right? So you're going to imagine the 30, 5, 10, and 5. Right, so you have 30, 5, 10, and 5. And so the inner components are the 10 and the 5, and the outer components are the 30 and the 5, right? So what I want you to do is first add the inner components and then the outer components. So you got 30 times 5 is, what is 30 times 5? Is 150. The inner components are 10 and 5, so that is 50. So 150 and 50, that's 200. Now I want you to add the first components, which are 30 and 10. So that's 300. So that's, now we're at 500. And then I want you to add the last components, which are 10 and 5 and 5. So 525. Okay. So I want you to do this for so I think this makes it a little bit easier to do the split. So basically you do the inners, outers, firsts, and lasts for the 2-digit case. So you can think of it this way. Okay, so let's do another example. Let's say we want to do 77 times 67. So what are our inners? 7 times 60. What is our outers? 70 times 7. So we basically have 7 times 6 is 42. And then 7 times 7 is 49. So we are going to add 42 and 49 and add a 0. So that's 8291, so 910. And then we are going to do 70 times 60, which is again 42. But this time it's 4200. So 4200 plus 910 is 5110. And then 7 times 7 is another 49. So the answer is going to be 5110 plus 49, which is 5159. Right, okay. So I think you get the idea. You basically have two numbers, 2 digits each. You're going to split them up so it looks like 4 numbers. You're going to multiply the inner 2 numbers, the outer 2 numbers, add them and add a 0. You're going to multiply the first 2 numbers and add 2 zeros, and you're going to multiply the last 2 numbers, and you're going to add all this together, and you are going to have your answer. So you should be able to do these in your head. I mean, I've done a couple of them for you in this video, and you will be able to do them more with more practice in your head as well. So I encourage you to take a whole bunch of 2-digit multiplications and practice them in your head. Of course, if you have something like where there's a 0, like if you had 38 times 70, it's going to be easier because you're just going to drop the 0, multiply with the 1-digit number, and add the 0 at the end. So let's just do 38 times 70 quickly. So you basically are going to do 30 times 70, which is 210. And then you're going to do 8 times 70, which is 56. And so now you have 266, and you're going to tack the 0 for the 38 times 70. And so you're going to get 2660 as your answer. So this is how you do 2-digit multiplications in your head. Now, if you wanted to do 3-digit multiplications in your head, you can continue to follow the same philosophy. You would first take the 2-digit numbers and multiply those in your head. And then you have to remember the answer to the 2-digit multiplication, and then you take the 3rd digit and you basically repeat the same process. Now, if you have zeros in your 3rd digit, this can be a significantly easier problem to do in your head. For example, if you had 106 times 108, you can split it as 100 plus 6, 100 plus 8. And so 6 times 8 is 48. 100 times 100 is 10,000. 6 times 100 is 600. 8 times 100 is 800. So 800 and 600 is 1,400. 10,000 plus 1,400 is 11,400. And then you have the 48. So you have the 11,448 as your answer to 108 times 106. And you can easily do that in your head. So I know I chose a simpler example for the 3-digit case because you haven't yet had enough practice doing the 2-digit case in your head. But once you practice the 2-digit case enough in your head, it's exactly the same process repeated for that 3rd digit. You have to multiply the inner numbers, the outer numbers, the first numbers, and the last numbers using, instead of 1 digit at a time, using both the digits as one number. So that's how you can do the 3-digit multiplications in your head as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Do some practice. Let me know if you have any questions on the method. And you will soon be able to do a bunch of 2-digit multiplications in your head. Enjoy.